Welcome to the SVG-TV news. It's for Friday, December 29th. I am Khalil Kato with the details. What this country has achieved should give every Vincentian satisfaction, even though there is a quest to achieve more. This is according to Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves on Star Radio's morning program yesterday, who said even though that quest may engender some dissatisfactions, we must never forget our blessings and achievements.
Where we have come and who have helped to bring us all from where we have come to where we are and on the path on which we are going. And it is evident that everybody can see the progressive path upon which we're moving. And that the challenges which we're experiencing, for instance, on the issue of violent conduct.
Right.
This is a behavioral matter. You know, when somebody tells me, remember, you know, every saint was once, every saint, even as he's moving to sainthood, in his doing, his or her doing, he or she is also a sinner. But they came originally from a pure place, to put it graphically. And one of these maxims is that, and you hear it, that every harlot was born a virgin.
Correct.
Huh?
That's correct. Yes.
So we're dealing with certain behavioral matters, and they can be environmental matters, conditions which affect your behavior. But you yourself have to work in solidarity with other people to make sure that your behavior doesn't descend to certain levels, which in the case that I'm talking about, lead you to criminal violence. And it's a complicated issue which requires parents, family, and the school and the church and the community, state institutions also, and the media have their role to play.
Prime Minister again issued advice to young males in the country who have a fascination with guns, are greedy for quick money, and are in a quest for a lot of shortcuts to what they believe is the better life.
Well, if you, and with drugs, particularly cocaine and so forth, you go that way, you're likely either to go to prison young or die young, or both. Go to prison young, you come out, you continue the same way, you're likely to die young or go back again in prison. Now that has been the experience, that has been the reality. Now I'm talking here this morning, I don't know how many of them, such persons, would be listening to me. But their parents may well be, the pastors may well be, the teachers may well be, the parents certainly. And they have to be spoken to, and sometimes it's a weary struggle. And we have to love people in the particular. Even when we love and we help these young men, and they backslide, and they do this and they do that, we can't stop loving them. And we can't stop helping them. Even sometimes when they do not as yet want to help themselves.
According to Prime Minister Gonsalves, the statistics show that although the number of homicides is up, generally the incidents of crime are down. In terms of not having crime affect the country's gains, PM Gonsalves said the issue has to be dealt with through an all-society approach.
And tourism can be so fragile, and is fragile, if we don't we can, if we don't work towards it, everybody, we can build the airport, which we have done. We can be building the hotels. We can do all the training of the managers, the accountants, the chefs. We can do everything. Can do all the advertisement, the tourism promotion, and people can be providing local craft and all the rest of it. And somebody with a machete will go to on the beach in Mairo. I want to rob a man. Eventually, the fellow didn't have anything on him other than $5, as I was informed. Fortunately, nothing untoward was done. But threatening somebody like that and going and robbing on the boat, on a yacht or something like that is completely counterproductive. And the strange thing is this: there are opportunities for those persons, if they want to be disciplined, to make an honest dollar from the very tourism. There's so many areas of service you can provide.
Yes.
To help to clean the yacht, to paint, to help with the provisioning. There's so many different areas in which you can get involved. You can farm. There are a lot of lands.
Meanwhile, former Deputy Director of the Youth Affairs Division at the Commonwealth Secretariat in London, the UK, Vincentian Dr. Andrew Simmons, believes better days are ahead for the young people of SVG once they take their education seriously, be kind, and stay away from violence and crime. In an interview with SVG-TV News Today, Dr. Simmons said while 2023 was a very challenging year in regards to crime and violence in the country, he is hoping for much better days in 2024.
But those better days would depend on how much we put in, as in terms of our education, in terms of how we deal with our friends, our families, and so on. For me, the major focus should be on developing those skills, those employment skills, such as building construction. Now we're talking about sustainable construction, skills in sustainable agriculture, skills in sustainable tourism, those skills that would enable us to feed ourselves, to feed our families. So I just want to say to all of us, to the young, the youths, the older persons, the women, that we have to work together as a team. We have to work together as a community to address these issues despite the many challenges that we may encounter. We have to ensure that we share love among each other. And I am positive that 2024 would be a more productive and friendlier year.
And Bishop of the Pentecostal Assemblies of the West Indies International, Sonny Williams, is appealing to the nation's youth to turn away from crime and turn to Christ for the new year. In a telephone interview with SVG-TV News, Bishop Williams said it is very sad to see so many of the nation's youth in this year dying prematurely.
Just 1 or 2 days, 2 days away from the end of 2023. Was a challenging year, but we all made it by God's grace, and we are so thankful. We have numerous challenges in the country, the rise of violent crimes in the land, and we continue to call on our young people to turn their hearts over to Christ and to find more meaningful ways of living and expressing their own sense of being and identity, and finding alternative ways of settling their differences. And for persons who have taken up a life of, all kind of crime, criminality, we are just encouraging you because we are seeing a number of young persons dying prematurely, and life has a lot of potentials and prospects for young people. You don't have to go the way of crime and to die young by the gun.
Bishop Williams used the opportunity to encourage Vincentians to join the Gome Glad Tidings Tabernacle Church this Sunday at 10 p.m. as they herald in the new year.
And so as we come to the end of this year, 2023, we would be celebrating it at Glad Tidings Tabernacle come Sunday, the final day of the year, and 10 p.m. in the afternoon, we will begin our grand celebration right up to midnight, and it's our crossover service. And we invite you to share with us. I would want to share with you a word from the book of Joshua 3. And I will be talking about crossing over into 2024. You've got to come to hear the rest of the story. I'm going to use the acronym CROSS to bring out that message. I want to wish everybody, I want to wish the nation the best for 2024. And as a nation, we are a religious country, and if we continue to put Jesus at the center of what we do so that he will become the functional Lord of this nation, we would see a better day for St. Vincent and the Grenadines. I would want to wish everybody a prosperous and a purpose-driven 2024.
The 2024 capital budget is an indication that the government of SVG is committed to the people, especially the young people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and projects to be undertaken, some of which will engage their creativity, will show the serious investment in improving the physical and social infrastructure at the community level. This is according to Minister of Finance, Economic Planning and Information Technology Camilo Gonzalez during the recent presentation of the 2024 estimates of revenue and expenditure. Minister Gonzalez said in addition to facilitating the advancement of Vincentians' skills and creativity, the government will also be placing a great emphasis in 2024 on the tourism, construction and agriculture sectors.
In the 2024 capital budget, 4 ministries will account for 79.8% or $455 million of the capital estimates for 2024. These are the Ministry of Finance and Economic Planning at $196.3 million, the Ministry of Urban Development at $115.4 million, the Ministry of Transport and Works at $106.9 million, and the Ministry of Tourism, Civil Aviation, etc. at $37 million. Madam Speaker, though, to briefly point out that the ministerial allocations, as honorable members know, especially the more experienced members, the ministerial allocations are sometimes a little bit misleading, as major projects essentially administered by one ministry are listed under the budgetary allocations of another ministry for technical reasons, usually related to the source of funding or the delivery mechanisms of the financing. So, for example, you will not find the Ministry of Agriculture in the top 4 that I just listed. The 4 largest spending ministries in the capital budget. And if you look at the pages 816 to 819 of the estimates, you will see the capital allocation there for agriculture at $14.5 million, total allocation. That's local loans, grants, and external loans. However, Madam Speaker, in addition to that $14.5 million, $27 million of the almost $30 million listed in the Ministry of Tourism under the rubric of unleashing the blue economy will be spent this year to provide production supports to the agricultural sector, and an additional $3.9 million within the Volcanic Eruption Emergency Project, the VEEP, listed under the Ministry of Finance, will be spent on forestry equipment, ruminant pens, fishery centers, marketing depots, and climate control greenhouses. In reality, therefore, Even though you see 14.5 million on the Ministry of Agriculture, the truer allocation in the capital budget to agriculture is over $45 million. And the truth is that the Ministry of Agriculture is administering $45.4 million worth of capital.
The estimates of revenue and expenditure for 2024, totaling $1.6 billion, were approved by Parliament on Wednesday, December 20th, ahead of the budget presentation on Monday, January 8th, 2024. The SVG Meteorological Service has confirmed that the phenomena seen in Georgetown yesterday afternoon was a waterspout turned into a weak tornado as it made its way inland. Head of the SVG Met Service, Billy Jeffers, told SVG-TV News that they received several reports just after 5 p.m. coming out of Georgetown of a phenomena described to them as a rotating cloud over the ocean, which eventually made its way over land in Georgetown. Jeffers said there were impact reports of debris being airborne, as well as minor damage to vehicles and properties. He said several videos were sent to them, and after close examination, it was deemed to be a waterspout which changed into a weak tornado.
Waterspout made its way overland, the definition would have changed to a tornado. However, based on what we saw, it was a very weak system. So it's safe to say now that a weak tornado occurred over Georgetown yesterday. You may ask the question, how did this system form? Now, waterspouts form when there is instability in the atmosphere, and by theory, we know that warm air rises, cools, and condenses to form water vapor, to form clouds. But importantly, there must be wind shear in the lower atmosphere. And by definition, wind shear is the change of wind speed and wind direction with height. And this is a very, very important criteria to get that vortex, to get that rotation or swirling effect going to form the waterspout. Now, these systems are very, very rare. In fact, during this year, the St. Vincent and the Grenadines Met Services reported just about 4 or 5 of these systems.
The head of the SVG Meteorological Service is advising persons, if they do see a waterspout which is moving inland, to keep considerable distance, as such a system has the potential to cause significant damage, noting that the severity of the damage depends on how intense the system is, and persons are strongly advised to stay out of harm's way. Meanwhile, climate change expert Dr. Andrew Simmons says Vincentians need to prepare themselves for anything, as unpredictable things have been taking place in the environment as a result of climate change. Dr. Simmons noted that this year, climate change has created a lot of difficulties and problems for the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, especially farmers.
We had a whole series of droughts, torrential rains, and other climatic effect. Such effects that devastated various aspects of the economy, our agriculture, the tourism, and that is within the context of just evolving, coming out from a terrible volcanic eruption, which was also followed by the COVID pandemic. So I also, for these, differences and these challenges, that's the reason why they talk about climate variabilities, because it varies from one place to the other. Although St. Vincent is a very small place, that you can experience, terrible weather in Georgetown, and Kingston or Argyle can be as normal as ever. We just have to have hope. We have to listen to the Met Office, the early warning information and the services that they have provided.
Late breaking news this evening, the Royal St. Vincent and the Grenadines Police Force has made a breakthrough in the murder investigation of Veronica Keisha Small of Arnesvale and Fountain. Today at 4:45 p.m., police charged Ryan Pitbull Cole a 24-year-old laborer of Paul's Avenue with causing Small's death. Small's body was discovered on August 25, 2022 at the decommissioned E.T. Joshua tarmac. We will bring you more on this story in a later broadcast. Also, police say they have launched an investigation into a video that is being circulated on social media depicting a young female, preteen or early teen being gang raped. The police force is advising the general public that it is a prosecutable offense to circulate or share videos of this nature on social media, noting that the perpetrator or perpetrators can be charged with multiple offenses under the Cybercrime Act of 2016 as follows. Child pornography, Section 14. A person who commits such a crime under this section is liable on summary conviction to a fine of $300,000 or 7 years imprisonment or both. On conviction on indictment to a fine of $750,000 or imprisonment for 20 years or both. Sexual harassment by electronic communication, Section 16. A person who commits an offense under this section is liable on summary conviction to a fine of $100,000 or imprisonment for 2 years or both, or on conviction on indictment to a fine of $200,000 or to imprisonment of 5 years or both. The police say in addition, circulating such videos re-victimizes and re-traumatizes the victim. The police force is therefore calling on the culprits circulating the videos to stop immediately or to face prosecution. The RSVG police force is encouraging anyone with information that can assist with this and any other investigations to contact any police officer you're comfortable speaking with or the officer in charge of the Criminal Investigations Department, the CID, or the Major Crime Unit, or the police emergency numbers at 911 or 999. The police say all information received will be treated confidentially. And police are investigating an incident at Maya's Luxury Suites Hotel in Diamond in which a guest died after reportedly falling from the 5-story building. Reports are that a 24-year-old Canadian man died at the Milton Cato Memorial Hospital after he was rushed from the hotel compound. In a news release issued on Thursday evening, the hotel confirmed that there was an incident involving one of its guests, but did not divulge any information as to what transpired, noting that, out of respect for the affected family and friends, and in consideration of the sensitive nature of the incident, they kindly ask for understanding and compassion during this difficult time. The hotel's management says it is providing support to those impacted and are dedicated to ensuring the well-being of all and comfort of all guests, while reassuring the public, present and future guests, that the safety and comfort of guests and employees remain top priority. The Modern Medical Complex in Georgetown received a donation today of medical supplies from the St. Matthias Charities Incorporated, which included several boxes of gloves. Speaking at the handing over ceremony, head of the mission of the St. Matthias Charities Inc., Robert McBarnett, outlined some of the items donated to the Modern Medical Complex and expressed gratitude to persons in New York who made the donation possible.
We have here some ambu bags. Miss Miller, who is a nurse, can tell you the importance of ambu bag. It's very, very important because you have to save life. You have a critical care patient, somebody in an ICU situation. This will help them to breathe, to keep the person breathing. Ambu bags. And we have other stuff here. We have Heplock. And a whole host of other stuff, especially gloves. I always say gloves is very, very important in healthcare because the first thing is gloves, and you can never have too much gloves, I always say. And we are able to donate some gloves. We have quite bitter gloves, and some of these gloves also was donated by a young man in New York by the name of Patrick James. I think you're familiar with that name. So I would like to thank our donors in New York and our supporters because we cannot do this alone. It's all of us collectively. And I normally say to the folks in New York, I say, look, I can only go but one block. But if we all come together and lock arms together, we can go 2 blocks, maybe a mile, or even 2 miles.
Deputy Hospital Administrator at the Georgetown Medical Complex, Idinga Miller Walker, said they are proud beneficiaries and of the well-needed and timely donation of medical supplies from the St. Matthias Charities, Inc.
Supplies are very timely, as we know, coming on the heels of the global pandemic. Some may say that that is over, and why am I still mentioning that? We are still experiencing the effects of such a disaster. Time and time over the months, we are encountering difficulties in sourcing some of our well-needed supplies. And as always, we can count on Mr. Matthias for his generous donations that he has always been given to us from the day of inception. He has been consistent. He has been determined in ensuring that we receive much needed supplies, and for that we are truly grateful. And I can give the assurance that everything here that you see within and around the room will be put to use. Again, on behalf of the Modern Medical Complex and by extension the Ministry of Health, Wellness and the Environment, we express our appreciation, and we wish you nothing but God's richest blessings, and to continue to do the good work that you are doing, not just for us, but the many organizations.
Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Health, Wellness and the Environment, Cuthbert Knight, also expressed gratitude to the St. Matthias Charities Incorporated for its continued support to the ministry, the government, and people of SVG.
Charities Inc. This is an organization that has never ceased from giving. And as was said before, giving of things which fits into our need within the health sector. And these are things that we will actually expend money on to purchase. When we receive donations through our strategic partnership, and this is actually one of the strategic focus of the ministry, to augment our resources through partnership. If we can do that, and we often do that, as is manifested here today, it means that this can help us in actually putting resources to other use. And the St. Matthias Charities Inc., I recall, initially would have given us over 12 containers full of charitable and generous donations, and that is quite significant. And when I said to you over 12 containers, I'm talking about not only the donated supplies, but also paying the freight. And the freight is always very expensive. So this is an organization which will raise the funds, actually get the donations, and pay for them to come to St. Vincent. So that is quite outstanding.